Hey guys, welcome to another monster review. Today I'm going to be discussing Ermeda, who you've probably seen me use a lot recently in Guild Wars, at least over the past month or so since I started him. Um, Now, the main purpose of using Ermeda is to deal with all those perners that plague the Guild Wars defenses, especially at the high sort of Guardian 1 to Guardian 3 level. Um, Anyone who has a perner is going to put it on defense. It's one of the best damage dealers, like one of the best threats that's hard to kill or annoying to kill, and you've probably seen it even crit water guys to death. It procs a lot of violence, etc. Right? It's a really dangerous unit to fight into. So there are a few wind tank options that you can use against Perna. So it's not just Ermeda, but I believe Ermeda is the best one out there, and it's purely because of this passive. Reduces damage dealt by fire units by 50%. Right? No, there's no other wind unit that has it. There are some wind units that can sort of tank Pernas, but it's not as reliable because they're typically built like triple HP. For example, Ramagos and Chasun, and Perna has like his second skill scales off enemy max HP. So you don't want a unit that's purely HP based to tank it, especially if they get defense broken. Like Perna pretty much one shots, and even in Ramagos, like will get one shot. Because Ramagos' base defense is not even that high. But if you know that there's not going to be any defense breaks going at your wind tank, then you can still use those units. But Ermeda can tank through defense break, just because of the passive, right? It kind of nullifies defense break. So if you don't get defense broken, then he just gets tickled by Pernas. But if there's defense break on him, then he takes normal damage that you expect otherwise. Now, as far as the rune build is concerned, I'll hold them there for a few seconds so you can have a look. So as you can see, this double wheeled shield. I'll explain why in a second. And he's on defense, HP, HP. Okay, and as you can see with the substats, I focused them more towards the defense side of things. Like if there's a rune with defense or HP substats, then that's what I'm going to put on my Ermeda, right? But obviously for slot 1, you can't have defense percent on that one. And also for like if the actual defense rune, then you're just looking for the HP substat, and then for the actual HP rune, you're looking for defense substat. Okay. Now, the reason I've stacked, I'll put a defense rune. It's basically just going back to me saying Perna scales off max HP. So if you stack another HP rune here, he'll be overloaded on the HP, and I find he takes a lot more damage when that happens. Now you might be wondering, what if he gets defense broken? Doesn't that sort of nullify defense for you? Yeah, I mean, sure, it does. But typically he'll be run with double will or triple will to last long enough, give you that time to kill the other units, and then by the time those units are dead, your will might have run out, but like Perna will be the only damage dealer left, and Perna without defense break doesn't do a lot. So usually you would probably kill anyone who can threaten armor break on your Ermeda, like say Orion or Galleon. You probably kill those guys first, and then from there on, as long as Ermeda has a healer, then he can just sit there and take it like a man, right? Now, the reason I have double will shield is because of the way I pair him with my units. So for a lot of my offensive units, or Guild Wars offense, they're usually built violent will. So my main attackers like Fiormars and Tor, they're on violent. Field Mars is on Will, but Tor's not on Will because of the way I normally would use him, but which is like in a speed clear comp. But yeah, pretty much most of my healers that I would bring to a fight against Perna will have will on them to counteract against things like Galleon and Orion, which is what would typically be used with a Perna, right, to threaten the enemy team. So the shield runes sort of add an extra layer of buffs, make it harder for the enemy Orion to remove your will runes. I mean, there's still a decent chance that he'll remove the will rune and then armor break your unit, but having will and shield like double layers of buffs, I guess gives you the best sort of protection against Orions. Alright, so if he removes the shield buff, then obviously the heal block and defense break will be resisted automatically by the immunity. And that's why I find a lot of players, at least in Saints, utilizing Will Shield in that for their offensive comps. Even some defense comps will run those two sets on a unit that can afford to give up, Violent or whatever. So Ermeda doesn't need any particular set, so he can be a shield carrier, and then you can just fill out the rest with will runes. Triple will works fine as well, just that you'll be a little bit more vulnerable against Orions unless one of your other units has a shield set as well as will. Okay. Now just to discuss one other thing. Now this is not the only way to build a Ermeda, right? For my purposes, I'm just building him as a pure tank, but he actually deals some pretty decent damage with this skill, the Sonic Boom, because they recently buffed it to also scale with his own max HP. So he's sort of you can think of him as like a bruiser. Okay. He also can attack consecutively, multiple times as well. Like basically the same idea as Tyron or Rauk's first skill. He can, they procs extra attacks. So even with these sort of stats, with low crit rate, I have seen my Ermeda go nuts on I think it was a Galleon. He went nuts on him and almost one-shotted him, right, without armor break as well. So he does still do some okay damage, and it's a pretty useful skill. Like, it removes beneficial effects. So, for example, a very common Guild Wars defense is Field Mars, Perna, and Orion. Now, assuming the enemy Orion attacks does harmless prank like he's supposed to do on turn 1, then his Field Mars should attack first, right? Because he's getting the attack bar boost. And so if his Field Mars will attack, hopefully you survive it, and then you return fire with your Field Mars or whoever your damage dealer is, and pop the Field Mars' Endure. Then Ermeda will be next in line to attack, right? He should attack before the enemy Field Mars does, and he can remove the Endure buff with this, and potentially one-shot him. Like if he removes the buff and then attacks again straight away, he can just kill him after that. Right, so I mean, it's not reliable, but it's a nice thing that can happen. And hopefully, at worst case scenario, you can at least remove the Endure, and then if there's a dot ticking because of your Field Mars' first skill, then that can kill the Field Mars. Or if you have another unit that can steal the turn before then you can finish off the Field Mars, right? And his second skill is also quite nice. It got recently buffed as well. I think previously it used to be single target. Now it's attacks all enemies, and attack speed slow is quite nice. Especially if the Perna is paired with non-fire units. Obviously, if there's fire units, then it's not very reliable. You'll probably glance against them. But usually, if you're trying to control the fight, right? There's no buffs to remove or anything, then you just use this and slow them down. This goes with max HP too, so he can do a bit of damage with it. But yeah, so I think that covers his stats and skills. I'm gonna show him in action for a bit. Now, this team, I'm not aiming to kill them. I'm just trying to see, or just show you, like Ermeda tanking the Perna, right? Because Perna is the only damage dealer there. I mean, I can potentially kill him, like, you know, over time. But we'll see how it goes. Now, I brought triple water here because Perna will never attack the water units, as you can see. Because he'll just go for the guy that has elemental advantage. If you bring a neutral unit, for example, like a Bella or something like that, and they get defense broken, then Ermeda will go straight for him. But as long as they're water, he won't attack them unless they're really low. Okay, so you can see he's taking a lot of punishment from the Perna. The Perna might actually die soon because of my Vega, but I think this is like a long enough test. You can see here that like the crit here, 15k on defense break. That's not bad. He can survive a couple more hits after that. I believe that 15k was from his second skill as well. That was the max HP scaling one. Obviously, the amount of damage Perna does is going to depend on. We'll see. Even triple, like it was like triple hit this then. He didn't quite kill him, but the Chiwu did finish him off, which is unfortunate. But what can you do? Well, I want to try to order that Perna just because I want to finish it off. As long as the Perna is dead. Oh, damn, that's awkward. He procced enough violent that he reset his revive. But hopefully he can kill him afterward. Hopefully Vega can kill him. But yeah, so when you're thinking about like what you want to pair your Ermeda with, try to bring double water if there's a Galleon, because Galleon is gonna, he's gonna time to loot and he'll get defense break on everyone. If that happens, then you need to make sure they're water units so that Perna doesn't go for them, and that way you know Perna's gonna go for your Ermeda, because Ermeda is gonna be protected by will runes, assuming there's no stripper on the other side. And if you don't want a neutral unit there with defense break, because the Perna will kill that guy. So you want to make sure Perna's always going to be hitting your Ermeda, and that's the reason for that. Now, if it's not a Galleon there, maybe it's an Orion, then you can bring like alternate, like you can bring other units. As long as you kill, like if it's an Orion, you should kill it first to make sure that like in the later turns, he doesn't defense break one of your crucial units, right? Because that's the only thing that will kill you. I'm just waiting for this to finish and then I can sort of move on. But anyway, now a suitable unit to pair with Ermeda is Lumerisha, or Lumerisha. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's the water sylphid. And the reason is because there's actually two really good reasons. The first reason is because her heal, it heals for the full health bar. So, and it's a single target one as well. So if Ermeda is getting beaten down, then your Lumi can just heal it straight up and then undo all the work. Like Perna is going to need about quite a large number of turns of consecutively hitting the Ermeda without any sort of healers backup before the Ermeda will die. Well, unless there's defense break on them, of course. Okay, this failed, but that's fine. And now we can just move on to the units I'm going to recommend. And just to show. Just to load up. Okay, so this is Lumerisha. Yep. So it's the healing breeze, right? I believe when you reduce the cooldown, it's about 3 or 4 turns. Alright, so it's a pretty decent heal. And the other reason to use Lumerisha is because of the second skill. It's a reset, and that's really good because she's got elemental advantage against Perna, so she's not going to be glancing on the Perna, unlike say a Dolphoy, which I would normally use. I haven't actually built a Lemuracia, but I may build her at some point just to pair it up with Ermeda. And yeah, so if you bring a damage dealer like say a good water damage dealer, I did like something like Field Mars, a Tor if you're lucky enough to have Tor is really good, and anyone that can potentially one-shot Perna with one of their skills is good to pair it up, because then you can reset and then kill straight away, right? And then the first skill just continues damage. It's not awful, but yeah, that's mainly for like these two skills that you want to use Lemuracia for it. Like even this skill is not bad resistance for your 2 water guys if you have nothing else to use. Now alternate units, you can maybe use Emma, because she can do defense buff as well as healing, right? So she can heal your Ermeda, give a defense buff, and then Perna is going to have a huge amount of trouble trying to kill your Ermeda. And you can remove beneficial effects, that's nice to have. And glancing, right? You put glancing on the Perna, and it's even harder for the Perna to kill you. I haven't built an Emma, so I can't actually show it, but that's another option. Another option is like a sort of more budget option. I'm trying to find him. I apologize, I'm a bit blind. Here we go. Talc, right? Because he's a water unit. Defense leader for water units is nice to have. To protect your damage, the water damage dealer you're bringing. Or you're probably going to be bringing Field Mars for most people, because this is like a easy to access unit. But the main reason to bring Talc is like similar to Emma, is that he brings defense buff and heal as well. His heal is not as much as Emma, but the defense buff is still pretty nice, right? And at worst, he can provoke the Perna if you're in trouble, or provoke Galleon, I guess. And yeah, so there's a couple of options you can bring with Ermeda. Now for the nuker, as I said, you can use anyone really. Field Mars is probably the best one, but there's other ones you can try. Like you could maybe even use Sigmaris. He's a free-to-play one. It really just depends what units the opposing side has. So if they have a DPS Galleon, then Sigmaris might get killed if he gets armor broken, right? Let's say that the Galleon defense breaks your Sigmaris, and then procs of Violent and does Pirate Strike. He'll be very close to one-shotting most Sigmaris, unless you make Sigmaris fairly tanky. But otherwise, as long as Sigmaris can survive, then he can probably one-shot the DPS Galleon with this. So that's a couple options. There's a lot of various options you can try. I think that about covers it. You can definitely, there's definitely a lot of room to experiment. Like Konomiya could also be another healer that you could use. You can remove defense break as well with peace, so it's another option there for you. And I think that about covers it. So I'll leave it there. Like if I missed anything you're unsure of, feel free to ask me in comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So I think that'll be it for today. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll be doing another monster review soon, probably this weekend. So I'll see you guys then. Bye.